Vacation time is over for your old pal Spags. We are back on the grind again with 6 days a week of drafts here on Splash Play. Today's another BBM. I'm going to do one before I hop on Pete Overzet's stream to do a BBM for a lot more views. Of course, I'm already in a draft room here. You can see the chat's been getting all sorts of worked up. 9 minutes late here is what Adam's been counting down the entire time, saying I'm big timing you guys. No, I was in fact just doing work before the stream, and I saw an opportunity to start a little bit later, so that's what we did. But today, we are in a draft room again, Best Ball Mania 5, $1.5 million to first place. The sparsely watched Monday show as we get our dick kicked in by my pal Pete. But the good news, I get to then siphon off the views back by doing a stream with Pete at 1 p.m. And of course, where would I be besides in the 11 hole, as I always am? I am tethered to the back half of rounds in Best Ball Mania 5. This is draft number 122 for me, streamed on the year. BBM number 62, I believe, for me is where we are. So that is what we are working with in this room today. We'll see what we build. I'm a little bit flustered. I had to catch up a lot of work this morning. Had to also reset up the entire studio here because I took my production PC, my camera, my keyboard, took all my stuff here on vacation, only to use it for 2 days worth of content, basically. But still, had to reset it up back in here. So that's why, part of why I am late today. But I had to send a very important email before this one for probably, and that's the main reason why. And I get to keep you guys on your toes, right? Keep you out of my draft rooms. That's the goal here as always. But we are in the 11 hole, so what does it matter? What does it matter keeping you out of my draft rooms when I'm stuck, tethered to the back half of the round anyway? There's that handsome face. Thank you. Yes, I am glowing right now. I also forgot, here we go. You can see my tan a little bit more. Though I do smooth out the color palette a little bit more so you can't see how truly bronzed I am. I also forgot to pull up, hey, 4-time BBM and DK Millie finalist, right? Got that going for me too. But you can see my tan in full screen here for a moment. And now we can hop back. But thank you for calling me handsome, Paul. I appreciate it. Our guy Bayou Bengal here. GMs all around. Appreciate you guys dealing with me being elusive in my timing here as always. But you know the game by now. You know the game we like to play. We'll see what the game Big Mama Mott's likes to play here. Are they going to take a pick that I'd like to have at pick 10? Maybe do something different? Maybe make this a nice start to the week for me? Nope. Fuck, I am never going to fucking get Puka Nacua and Marvin Harrison. I'm going to die never having shares of Puka Nacua and Marvin Harrison together. Oh, I hate it. Doing my own bullshit, though. We all know I don't like Garrett Wilson. I've now firmly put Garrett Wilson behind a bunch of different guys at the turn. He can have Garrett Wilson pick 12 if he wants, but I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. anyway. Pick 11, Marvin Harrison Jr. Either handsome or crab risotto. That's true. I am both full of crab risotto still. I assume it's coming out of my bloodstream or my pores at any given moment. How much I ate last week in Virginia Beach. But crab risotto, if you ever can make it like that, like the chef we had last week made it, one night of a chef, and that crab risotto will forever be a part of my brain, my constitution, my soul, all that in between. Sure, guy Felix doing some DraftKings drafts tonight. Of course, I'm not in the DraftKings streaming streets this year, but I know Felix is doing a good job with it. It's a former DK Millie winner. Drake London gets pushed back. I would have taken Garrett Wilson if he fell back to me. I worry I have done this Marvin Harrison, Drake London start far too many times this year, but I'll keep doing it. I just want Puka and Harrison together on one team. It is baffling to me that Puka's ADP has fallen, and I still can't get him at 11. People get him in the second round sometimes. I can get this fucker at 11. Unbelievable. No, that doesn't make you feel better. Why would that make me feel better? I can't get it. Fuck, man. No, Jeff. No, it does. I'm happy for you. Game respects game. Thank you, Mr. Mister. Of course, the top 10 BBM finisher last year, our guy, Mr. Mister. So I'll respect his game as much as anybody. I am also out on Wilson. Why am I? As MKE asking me here. I'm out on Wilson because he hasn't been that good for 2 years. People blame the QB play, but Rodgers also wasn't that good the last time we had a full season of him. The Jets, a defensively minded team that unless you think that defense is going to fall off a cliff, and I don't know why you would when they've only added better players. I assume Hassan Reddick at some point will actually play for the team, even though he wants an extension. They've added better players on defense. To me, it's a team that's going to be chock full of 21-14 kind of wins this year. It's not the kind of team I want to invest in having a huge upside. And I really think in general, people think this Jets offense is going to suddenly be a world beater offense. There's literally 15, 20 offenses in the league that I like more across QB, maybe not RB. Brees is like a top 3 RB for sure. Though I think you can question the workload being there quite as much with the amount of signal they've shown for bringing in other guys who are not Brees Hall. That said, like, I think that there's just a lot of questions about how the team approaches things in an AFC East that I don't think is going to have a lot of shootouts necessarily. If anything, I would expect Miami to kind of start to try to get more defensively minded, though their defense too should be a little bit worse, I'd expect, with some of the guys they lost. So we'll see. But really, to me, like, I just don't think the Jets are that good. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is that good. I don't think Garrett Wilson has been good at any point in his career yet, besides earning targets at a decent rate, okay yards per out run stats, but he's not adding a lot of value above an average player. I think he's more of a volume merchant. And now we have Corley coming in, which, for as much as that may matter, you do have Mike Williams coming in. That matters probably a little bit more. You have Lazard there as a guy that can be a safety blankie. You have Xavier Gibson, who's probably not a big target earner, but could be out there as a guy that Rodgers has gravitated towards in camp so far. There's a lot of things to me that just don't scream Garrett Wilson in that spot, but definitely one of my blind spots. If you want to fade me right away, loading up on Garrett Wilson is probably the easiest way you could do that, I suppose. Hasn't Wilson had the most targets through 2 years all time? I don't know. Don't care. Just sort of watching again. No more overs. No, Pete and I have decided to do our own things. For me, it's more about wanting to invest the time in my own channel. For Pete, obviously, he's investing time in his channel, but I'll be doing a stream with him today at 1 p.m. So you get your taste there. Let's see. But it was also, too, because Pete was getting paid by Football Outsiders before. Obviously, when they went under, both of us stopped getting paid by Football Outsiders. So that's the other side of the equation there. Glad to see the normal room in the background now. Feels comforting. Yeah, I did my best to make the Airbnb we were staying at look pretty enough behind me. It wasn't just me leaving out my weed vape, me leaving out cum towels. Tried to make it look respectable. But yes, do like being in the regular studio. Feel like it makes me feel like I'm a little more put together. The road show is fun, though. If you missed in particular, the Wednesday stream, where I was drinking a swig of beer for every round, I would say that was a pretty good time. The debut of our It's a Me to Mario Douglas character, which people left some nice comments on. So I got to do some Mario voices. My father-in-law was like baffled by the voices I was doing in the room because my wife, Luca, my mother-in-law were at the beach with Luca. So like they were in the house. My father-in-law was there, and he was like, he wakes up late because he's like a late sleeper / he's also fucking 70. So he wakes up late, and he heard me in the room and was like, what was that voice you're doing? I'm like, I can't tell you. Well, I black out whenever I'm doing stream content for 2 hours. But it was, in fact, the Mario voice is what it was that he was hearing and was perplexed by. Cooper Kupp goes 31. We will not pair him with our guy, Marvin Harrison Jr. Why is Teabagging Time coming after Adam? Adam, can we go one stream without you being argumentative? If you don't agree, great. But geez, man. Oh, boy. Adam's job, he's basically like the ombudsman here. He like calls me out for things that he thinks are accurate or that he thinks I'm not seeing it correctly. I don't mind Adam's presence. We got to have a push-pull here if I'm not going to have a regular co-pilot. Chad is my co-pilot here. That's always been the case. Kyren Williams certainly makes sense here. A little bit of a rise for Tank Dell lately, which is now reflected in my rankings. Is this enough of a fall for Kyren, do we think? Or do we try to push Kyren around the bend? This guy's got no Ram stuff going. So I'm going to try to push Kyren around. Getting Kyren at 38 would feel pretty good. If not, getting Tank Dell here feels perfectly fine as well. 3 wide receiver start, Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Tank Dell is the start that I have so far. And we'll see what we add on with this next pick. Just depends on what Jay Feller does here at the turn. He does say Kyren. There we go. See much negativity from me. All right. Hey, sorry. Trust me, I hate negativity as much as anybody, but I feel like out of all the guys, Adam is not the one that I would accuse of that. Zay Flowers comes back. So this is fun too. All right. So we don't get Kyren, who I do like. I am not a Kyren fader. I'm not somebody that's buying in on the Blake Corum rise, which is now in the 110s, guys. It's kind of insane what people are moving around. Adam Levitan, I feel like I've been talking about too much on stream lately after our brief confusion about him maybe mentioning me on Peach stream last week. Really was a thing where he pointed out that running backs are rising in ADP across the board now. I was going through the updates to do the Spags rankings, which I did put out this past weekend if you missed it. If you want to have my rankings that you could read over 275 blurbs on each player from me, along with some of the data I use from Sports Info Solutions. You also could import my rankings to Underdog. A lot of movement. I was like, what is going on here? But Corum coming up to like 115 is one where it's just like, this is a lot of wish casting from people that watch college football. It's a lot of wish casting from people that read one Sean McVay quote and don't read any others. I think that Williams, if he's going to fall, and I think he will fall, great. But it does seem like some running backs are rising, and it's like the most public running backs are rising. It's ATN rising. It's Blake Corum rising. It's Derrick Henry rising. You see him go 29 here. Pacheco goes 26, which I have to assume is just a misclick. But RBs are rising, guys. So now is the time if you're going to build your zero RB builds. Just do it. He did, but that's Adam. That's Adam. Hey, look, I get it. I don't give grace to everybody. I do give grace to some people, so I could see why, it might be off-putting, but I think he's just busting balls. It's okay. Trust me, when people are deserving of the shit, that's why I think maybe it's something I don't communicate well enough. I only give people shit on the stream when it's like they're, for the most part, when they're like deserving of it and when it's going downhill. I would say out of all the people who could be perceived as negative or, drains or whatever, Adam is far from it. I don't want to break the bit here because we make fun of Adam a lot here. But that's how I feel about it. I think Adam is a great contribution here, and I get it. I get it, though. But I appreciate you caring for me, Teabag in time. That's the kind of person I want caring for me is a guy's going to dole out some sick teabaggings to people that are not going along. So thank you for being my advocate here, if nothing else. Depends on the day. Depends on the day. Kind of surprised that Chase draft or pass up Cincinnati double. People just don't like. So people don't like Chase and Higgins now, which is odd to me. Like Higgins ADP has not moved at all. I've had Higgins ranked in the mid 40s for a while. I continue to have him there, moved him up a little bit. So you're not going necessarily totally zero T Higgins if you are following my ranks. Like Higgins to me is one of the least exciting clicks in football right now. He's come up because people had the security of him agreeing to this 1-year deal that'll keep him at least on the team. But like with Joe Burrow falling into the 100s a lot, he's still not there ADP wise, but happened twice last week. Burrow went in the 110s in one room. I went in the 100s in another room for me. Like I think for Burrow, people are just kind of down on that part of things. But if you're taking Chase, like you probably should take Higgins. Like you should do the chalky kind of Burrow start, I think. And if you take Chase and Higgins, you're going to get Burrow for really cheap. You're going to probably get him at the 100s in most rooms. So I would say that cornering the market on Bengals makes sense. If you're going to make a bet on the Bengals, as I've talked about, though, the Bengals to me, kind of like the Jets, just a team I don't want to invest in quite as much this year for some of the changes there, some of the issues with the team overall, team not giving out contracts to Higgins, not giving out contracts on defense either. Those are things, not giving out a contract to Chase, by the way. And apparently the most recent beat reports there that I saw over I think it was either over last week or the weekend before I went on the road, Chase might not get his deal until 2025, which he's a risk for holdout / bullshit this year too. And Higgins, even though he has his deal, like it's a 1-year deal. And he's a guy that playing last year, I think, made some business decisions for when he could be on the field, when he couldn't. I have a lot of bad feeling about the Bengals pass game core. I still like Chase Brown, one of my highest exposed players. Still like Zach Moss at ADP. Think he can do bootleg Joe Mixon and take the downs that, Chase Brown isn't going to get, assuming that Chase Brown's going to get downs. But that said, like, I think Cincinnati to me is just a weirdly priced team. They're really expensive for a team that nobody seems to really buy in on fully. So I don't get it. Burrow went 120s in a pit bull draft a couple days ago. Cincinnati double's unique. No, it's not. No, it's not. Higgins falls to 50 sometimes. And so, I mean, that depends on the room, but I don't think it's unique at all. Definitely not for, the first 33% of BBM being filled. It's not unique. All right, we're on the clock here. We've got our 4 receiver start: Harrison, London, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers. Kyle Pitts goes ahead. I swear to God, I just don't get London Pitts combos together anymore. ADP wise, the pick would be Josh Jacobs. I do prefer Joe Mixon. I do want to get more Chris Godwin, and I'm going to do that here because I think no matter what, we're getting something logical back for me. So I'm going to go Chris Godwin, wide receiver 5. Not an extreme 0 RB start yet because I'm planning on being done at wide receiver for a little bit. But Godwin's wide receiver 5. More of a full point PPR play for sure, but the Cooper Kupp buzz has been there for him. And I would say the Cooper Kupp buzz is actually picking up a little bit more these days. How's Burrow's arm health these days? His wrist, apparently he had nerve damage in there. That's still a little bit weird, which is part of why they haven't ramped him up fully yet. I don't think it's great. I mean, that's not really why I'm worried about him. I think losing the coordinator there, I do think that Brian Callahan is a very sharp coordinator and also a high pass rate one. I kind of expect it to naturally come down a little bit more, especially last time Zach Taylor had full control of the offense. This is not quite as prolific of a pass game off. I mean, it was still good, but it wasn't quite as high of a volume in the pass rate. All right, so Jacobs comes back. Mixon is my favorite pick, but he is a little bit cheaper. We are talking about a 9-pick discount on Josh Jacobs. I think this has to be a Josh Jacobs team, unfortunately. So Josh Jacobs, come on down. I bumped Jacobs down in my ranks a little bit because you can regularly get Jacobs late 50s, early 60s. We'll see if that changes as the influx of casual drafters come in now that we're in July. But Jacobs is my RB off the board here. So a 0-1-5-0 start so far. We have Josh Jacobs, Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers. Got, I don't know if this is rare, but definitely a nice combo to get close to the turn here with Tank Dell and Zay Flowers. And Chris Godwin, who I would like to up my exposure to a little bit. I think he's an interesting fade to Mike Evans, who I'm also low on this year. Just think that losing Dave Canales is not a great thing, but it might be a good thing for Chris Godwin. So squeaky wheel narrative last year was going with Godwin. His wife posted on social media, led to complaints. Then the team actually met with Godwin, talked it out, gave him a few more targets on the home stretch, though he wasn't the most useful. We'll see what he can do this year. The hope is, I guess, 1 full year recovered from his injuries. Maybe that makes him better. But I think it's really more the Cooper Kupp style usage from the new offensive coordinator for the Bucs, Liam Cohen, I think has me interested because Cohen does come from the Rams tree. Didn't use the Rams tree that well when he ran the offense in Kentucky last year. I guess besides for Ray Davis. Ray Davis benefited from that Rams tree there. But, you know, that's really the bet for me with Chris Godwin. I think I want to be 8% Chris Godwin overall. Scary, weird injury for Burrow, so I have soft faded unless I get Chase. I think that's a fair way to look at it. Though I think if you get Chase, I don't know. I'm so down on Higgins, man. Like, I think Higgins to me, and I'm not one of those guys, again, I'm not the fantasy football counselor. I really try to be measured about some of the takes I have. Mixon at 70 is fucking nuts, man. How is Mixon falling? Mixon is the guy that like casual should flock to. He is like got nobody challenging him for a role on an offense that's going to be infinitely better with a rookie QB that people loved last year because of what he did for them, you know, at the end of last year. They didn't love him at the beginning of it. I'm shocked to see Mixon fall in like a casual July room. But yeah, with Higgins last year, I think he showed me a little bit of like what's in there. Like who is T. Higgins? T. Higgins is a guy that when he's not happy, when he's not getting paid well, he is going to subterfuge the situation a little bit. And I think he did pretty aggressively do that last year. Stroud falls to 72, goes, I think, uncorrelated to this guy. This guy's drafting a really stupid team in the one hole, which is great. This is what we want to see in rooms here on stream. This guy took 3 running backs, McCaffrey, Barkley, ATN, takes Malik Neighbors, unstacked Lamar at 49, slight discount there, but not enough. Slight discount on Stroud. He's got 1 receiver through 7 rounds. That is effectively a bad team. So whatever you wonder when I do a little sleight of hand today was because I had to do work, but I do sleight of hand about my recording times just so I can get different rooms in. Guys like the one hole are the reason you do that. Guys in the one hole are the reason you draft in July, you draft in August, you draft your heaviest volume in this point because it's just not good drafting going on. Like that team is effectively dead. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley would have to have the greatest years ever. This guy would have to hit receivers so hard and so effectively after round 8. Like it's just an impossible build. Awful team in the one hole. Good, our good new Adam here, our much more likable Adam saying, nice take on Higgins, Spags. I'm off Higgins, not a fan. Yeah, look, I just think he was a guy I liked a lot the year before last. He was a guy that was on my BBM finalist that got ripped from me because Cincinnati Buffalo and DeMar Hamlin. But like Higgins, I thought was really good the year before last. And to see him come down to earth this past year, really solely some injuries, yeah, but solely because of the fact like he didn't have money. I think it's not a great thing. Like I think that's definitely a little more of the reading tea leaves side of football than it is a hard data point. But like he went from being a plus EPA receiver to I think he finished straight negative last year, which are the kind of things that I look for year to year where it's like, why would this happen? You know, and for Chase to get better, Higgins to get worse. Maybe it's just the push pull of Chase and Higgins, but like Higgins last year, let's see. Yeah, he actually got into the positives by end of year. He was negative for most of the year EPA, but a 0.2 EPA, 21% target per out run, 1 deep targeted game for a negative 0.2 EPA. So he really struggled downfield, which could get worse without Callahan there. But at least he finished positive. He was negative in EPA for, I think, like the first 13 weeks of the year. Not great. Another room got Stroud at 79. I thought there was a shot I get Stroud at 83 here. Didn't need to have it, but if you can push Stroud, great. But sometimes somebody's going to need to take Lamar and Stroud together while not having any receivers. The Kyler Murray guy, oh, God. So this guy took Laporta and McBride, puts Kyler Murray on top. I would have been happy to get Kyler Murray there. We will not have that at our disposal here. JMO fallen a little bit. ADP-wise, the pick is Ramondre, and I think that's our pick too. This feels like a nice RB start, if nothing else, with Josh Jacobs and Ramondre. Gonna have to figure out what to do with QB. Man, okay. Curveball here is the chase drafter. Honestly, just not drafting Higgins at all. Full fade for me. I mean, I'm not far off from you, so I get it. I do think, you know, if you like the Bengals, you should probably take some shots at Higgins. But like Higgins to me never got priced down enough for what is ultimately, you know, not the best situation in the world for him. But that's, you know, I think we've talked enough about Higgins here. You guys get my points. And I've probably talked negatively about Higgins more than anybody in the business this year. I like for him to go from being that good to just being a non-factor last year. Hard to see. Fully agree with Adam's take here. Callahan leaving the Bengals will hurt more than people realize. Yep. All right, so Najee here, Warren here, unstacked Joe Burrow here. I mean, this is clearly setting up to be a late QB team. Man, Jonathan Brooks went already? Where'd Brooks go? Brooks went at 74? What a fucking dumb shit pick. I'm going to go Najee here. Connor would have been an okay pick. Connor coming up in ADP for more Arizona. Najee, though, a little bit of a discount. We're just scooping up discounts here to make the team slightly more unique at running back. So we have a Josh Jacobs, Ramondre, Najee Harris start, which for 3 top running backs in a 0 RB build, you really can't get much better than that. Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Chris Godwin. If Chris Godwin's your wide receiver 5, I'm not mad at that either. Obviously, we still have to stick tight end. Still have to get our QBs because Kyler Murray didn't come back to us. I'm happy with the start, though. I think this is a team or a room of bad teams around me. No respect to the guy who's in the room. But here we go. Felix, I took Najee just for you. That's whenever I take Najee, Felix emerges. Though Felix is already here, so I guess it was just destined to be today. But yeah, if you're going to get Najee at 86 and you're going to take Jonathan Brooks at 74, I love Jonathan Brooks. He is a player that should be coming down because he's likely not going to be there at the start of training camp or ready to be full go at that point. So just bad picks in this room, honestly. Besides our guy who drafted Jamar Chase, who's done nothing wrong so far that I'm aware of. All right. Canales and Callahan are good. Buying Panthers and Titans. I agree. How was your trip? Trip was good. Honestly, the issue for me with a lot of the stuff, Jaden goes at 95, so we are not in the Jaden Daniels business, which sucks, but I have to be willing to live with that a little bit more these days. Trip was good. The issue to me with trips with a toddler, so it's two-pronged. Number one is like, so if I do work in the morning, I'm doing work. If I don't do work in the morning, then I have to help out with Luca, and that included going to the beach with my mom and with Alex's mom and Alex and Luca on the 4th of July. It was fucking awful because like, I don't know how you guys feel about this stuff. I like going to resorts. Like I like going to all-inclusive resorts. You don't have to worry about grocery shopping. You don't have to worry about the stuff. You go to the beach and they have umbrellas there. They have towels for you, have whatever. My mother-in-law and Alex are both like, let's go to the beach and bring a wagon with 700 things in it. And it's like, you have to do that for Luca, but it was really more for them where they brought like the umbrella to put in the sand, have to bring the chairs or whatever. And it's like bigger chairs. It's not ones you can just like put on your back. So like, it just wasn't enjoyable to me. Like if I go to the beach, I'm going with a couple beers, like a big blanket to lay on, and that's basically it. So like, to me, it's just, it wasn't as relaxing as it could be is the best way to say it. Still had a good time. Obviously always fun to hang out with the wife's family. Love them. You know, honestly, my dad's dead and I'm not talking to my mom right now. So I love my in-laws a lot more. You know, that said, like vacations when they're not vacation to me just end up feeling like more work. So that's how it mostly felt, but drank some beers, had some crab risotto. Fam's the same. Beef trips with the father seem like a scam. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Especially if Alex can do it on her own. Like she's not giving me shit about it and she's going to do it on her own. Great. Had fun seeing Luca play and whatever. But even then it's like, you know, if I'm there and Alex is there, the assumption becomes like, oh, Chris has to do all the stuff because he's not here the other time. So like, that's the push pull, I think, of being the dad that I'm just like, I don't know. At that point, it's not fun. So I did too much work. Didn't do enough relaxing. Story of my life. But I appreciate you asking all the same. Mr. Popinski, one of our regulars. Trey Benson should be falling here. Some recent reports solidifying that he's deeply behind James Conner so far and is going to be behind Conner the entire time. David Njoku here. Again, doesn't correlate with anything unless there's something I'm forgetting with my not looking at my week 17 sheet. Cincinnati, Miami. Njoku still feels like a good pick in this spot. I'm going to go Njoku here. Still have the vague concerns about Njoku being as good this year with Deshaun as his QB. Deshaun has never fed a good tight end in his career. And you do have Jerry Jeudy coming in, taking some slot snaps away. You have Tillman, who's not a great target earner, but is a guy that can maybe get a little bit better, can get more work downfield. My general concerns about Cleveland, I guess, but in this build, not be too concerned about it. Njoku is a tier break. That's true. Cairo, give me the Spaggy. Thank you. My crush in high school used to call me Spaggy. So that whenever you guys do that, I could feel my high school erections coming back into the picture. Devin Singletary would be an okay pick to continue to flesh out RB. Got to figure out, but we don't really have to figure out QB till later. So I don't have to figure out QB, but I would like to. All right. Rashid Shaheed would be fine in most builds, but we're good at receiver right now. I think we just keep scooping semi-values here. The Singletary is right at ADP. Could take Corum in this build and just hope that he gets there at the end of the year to make it super powered. Man, tough pocket. I'm going to go Singletary. Team so far is a 0-4-5-1. We have Josh Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, Devin Singletary as our RBs. This is probably one of the better 0 RB rooms I've had at RB in a while, especially with hitting wide receiver that much. Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Chris Godwin are our wide receivers. And David Njoku, 6-pick ADP discount there was too much to ignore. So we've scooped up enough little ADP discounts in one room, including a near 10-pick one for Josh Jacobs, that I do think this team has some unique texture to it. How I'm going to build up the stacks remains a question, but the RB room is about as rock solid as you could ever hope for at 0 RB. Bye week bros approve? I hope so. Spaggy, giving that boner cash. Here we go. That's what I gave out in high school. Just pure boner cash. Upside for Cincinnati would be their defense regressing and them being in more shootouts. Miami feels similar. Maybe. I think a more Zach Taylor influenced offense. We'll see, because it is still a thing where I forget who their OC is, but they promoted internally for their OC. Could definitely be something that a little more run heavy, a little more playing it close to the vest that people want to realize. But I don't want to speculate at this point. Take Burton sometimes from Cincy or Yoshivas very rarely. I think the hope for Burton is that he's elevated Tyler Boyd. I still think he fundamentally is like T. Higgins insurance the most. That's how they play. Like Burton is more of an outside receiver, but we'll see. I would like to hear more camp reports about Burton because my sense is that I think there were some nice highlights for him. I think people assume that he is in a spot where he's just dominating the wide receiver 3 job. In reality, I expect there to be some Yoshivas. I expect there to be some Charlie Jones. I expect there to still be some Trenton Irwin. Those are the things that I think would concern me the most about taking Burton heavily at the very least. All right, so the Jared Goff drafter has no Detroit Lions. This is a bad room. This is a really not well correlated, well stacked room. I guess this is what happens when I start a draft at 10:05. This is what we get. Like Burton mainly for a spike week potential. I guess it's just like the spike week to me is probably 3 for 80 in a touchdown. Maybe you get 2. But it's like, how many times does that happen? I think it's like one of those things where we see Wicks go. Like Burton kind of reminds me of Wicks, where a Wicks bet is inherently a bet against at least one of Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, because Wicks needs something to happen for one of those guys where they get demoted or they get hurt, and then it opens up enough opportunity for Wicks to come in and be a world beater. I think for Burton, it's the same thing. Because obviously, a little better of a path for Wicks. We saw Wicks do what he did last year. But I think that's my concern for Burton is like, I don't even think he can give you like a true, he can't even give you a true T. Higgins spike week, I think, unless, Higgins isn't there, Chase isn't there. But we'll see. Burton's deep ball EPA. Let me see if I have it in one of these windows. Still have too many of these data windows open. All right. Oh, here we go. Burton, I know, didn't qualify for some of the metrics because he did not have enough routes. Let's see, Burton. 20 plus yards. He had a 1.15 EPA per target, which would be among the top 5 guys in the class. Not quite Harrison territory. Harrison was at a 1.6 rounded up. Neighbors at a 1.6 rounded down. But Burton, he did okay. Again, just the sample size is not the biggest. Burton was good in the red zone too, but again, not a big enough sample size there. 0.75 EPA in the red zone. 1.1 EPA at the goal line. Maybe he could be a touchdown hound. But really the lack of target earning. Like, so basically in my sheet, whenever guys don't qualify for earning enough, enough routes, enough targets, I don't have those metrics there. So that'd be my concern for Burton. I know he was hurt a little bit too, but not enough of a sample size to feel confident in it. All right. So we've gotten scooped on a lot of bullshit so far. We can add a bring back for Drake London and had Jahan Dotson on unstacked. Dalton Schultz, I think, would complete our tight end room and give us another bet. But I think I need to build out receiver more. I'll go Dotson without Jaden Daniels. Feels a little bit naked to take Dotson without Jaden Daniels, but we'll do it here. All right, got one more pick coming up, then I'll give the team a read. We got 6 receivers, 1 tight end, 4 RBs right now. I love Dalton Schultz. I just don't know that it makes sense to take him when I need to keep stack potential alive late. Troy Franklin was basically, I mean, he wasn't the best EPA player, but in a lot of ways, he was the best EPA player in college last year. I mean, also one of the best target earners, but I've talked enough about Troy Franklin. It's not Troy Franklin season right now. Troy Franklin season will be if he's running with the first team in camp, but I'm trying to keep my Troy Franklin measured for right now because of the fact that I got a lot of him early, and I would like to know more info about Denver before I make an investment again on Troy. All right, so Schultz goes, so that's out of the equation for us right now. Could make another Pittsburgh bet, which is fucking gross. Marshawn Lloyd doesn't make the most sense for this team. Trevor Lawrence, a huge fall, of course, in a room where I have no need for him whatsoever. Would like to up my Charbonnet, but I'll go Ty Chandler here. Oppo correlation for Josh Jacobs gives us one more RB at RB5. That feels pretty good. I am tie-breaking him over Charbonnet. Kind of feel, I don't know. I think those are very similar plays, Chandler and Charbonnet. Could have made the case to go Leggett to keep me alive for a Bryce Young stack late, but I don't foresee wanting to, I didn't foresee doing that there. The team so far is a 0-5-6-1, so we really need to stick the landing at QB coming up, but hopefully we'll be able to, given that Trevor Lawrence and 2 are falling precipitously here. We have Josh Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, Devin Singletary, Ty Chandler. We got Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Chris Godwin, Jahan Dotson, and David Njoku's our tight end. So I think the RB room and wide receiver room are coming along very nicely. Njoku at a little bit of a discount as tight end feels pretty good. I'm mostly just apprehensive in this room about how QB is going to go because we have, I think, 4 people in this room taking players entirely uncorrelated, which does make it a little bit tough. General Blue took his QB stacked. Big Mama took a single stack here that was not the most logical. This guy's got 2 unstacked. This guy's got 2 unstacked. Oof. Like the Chandler pick, but most sharps are against having both RBs from the same game. Do you buy into that theory? No. Both QBs, yes. Both RBs, no. Because you can corner a market with RB production, and also RB production can go and have outlier days on both sides. Last year, famously in Week 17, Breece Hall and Jerome Ford both got there in a huge way in Cleveland versus the Jets. So I think micro-wise, no. Certainly for DFS, I'm not doing that very often unless it's a short slate. For best ball, no. If they're teams that you especially can talk yourself into the bet on them in a season-long capacity, I think even more so. Liking Sharps more and more lately. Sharps has been a blind spot for me because I take Marshawn Lloyd every time there for the most part, but I do think Sharps is a little bit underappreciated for sure. Crazy that Justin Herbert went ahead of Tua and Trevor Lawrence in this room. At least the guy did it stacked, I guess, but I don't think that should ever happen. Would I ever click Lloyd in the spot when you're already having Jacobs? He'd have to be a faller, I think, at that point. If the guy's a big enough ADP discount, sure. Just Marshawn Lloyd's never, at least in rooms that I'm in. I think I've never seen Marshawn Lloyd go past 145 in a room. So hard to get him, I think, as a faller. But if Lloyd were a faller, yes. I guess theoretically, you could have made the case that I could take Lloyd in this build because we did get Jacobs as a pretty big faller, so we got the faller on the other side of the equation. But that was not the way that I wanted to go. Thought we had a shot at getting Mooney back, which would have been helpful. Sharps is about a 50% snap share with Kenneth Walker last year. Offense projects to throw more. Sharps feel like the guy in a new system. It's the same as any ambiguous backfield bet. I think, I wouldn't carry the priors from last year necessarily. I thought Sharps acquitted himself decently well in terms of the real life football stuff. Fantasy wise, didn't add a ton of value. I think EPA wise too. I think he was behind Walker by a little bit. Yeah, Sharps, negative 0.05 EPA per rush, negative 0.14 EPA per pass. They tried to give him a touch on 31% of snaps. Walker, negative 0.05 EPA per rush, so flat there, but slightly better in the pass game, which surprises me, 0.02 EPA per pass. And then when Walker was on the field, they tried to give him a touch 51% of the time. So I think it's a little bit different between the two, which is part of my Sharps bias. We're going to lock up Kirk Cousins here. I think no point in continuing to play the QB game if we can avoid it. And this guy's a little bit of a wild card here. He's got no Atlanta, but there's really nothing on the board I need to get at this point. So we'll go Kirko here. One guy I have not backed down in my rankings, by the way, Bucky Irving. Keeping him at 160. I'm going to die on that hill this year. Dying more on the Marshawn Lloyd hill, but I'll die on the Bucky Irving hill as well. This guy has 2 RBs and just keeps taking other positions. This has been a really, again, no disrespect to the guys in the chat because I don't think he's done anything wrong here, but over the course of the entire picture, this has been a really bad room. This has really been a not sharp room doing not sharp things at a lot of different spots. Maybe myself included if I keep pushing QB. We can get to Sean here. I'm not going to get any Miami stuff. I do think this is a 3 QB build. I'm going to make Deshaun Watson one of those QBs. You can guess who the third QB is going to be. We have the bet with David Njoku. Kind of think that a Watson bet with Njoku, without Cooper, without Judy, without any sort of bailout stuff, I think is going to be a little bit more unique. And it also does free us up to take Cedric Tillman really late as a guy who's currently playing as a starting wide receiver outside. So that's something I think is interesting to me. But if nothing else, we got Deshaun, we got Kirk in single stacks. We have Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Watson as our QBs. Josh Jacobs, Ramondre, Najee Harris, Devin Singletary, Ty Chandler as our RBs. Getting a really good 0 RB room. Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Chris Godwin, Jahan Dotson, and then David Njoku is our tight end. So we still need the second tight end. Might want the third QB. And who knows which of them we'll get. Nick's third QB. It's been a while since I've taken Bo Nix. Denver's a team where I just want a little more. I want to know a little more July Denver is really how I feel about Denver. Still have the same belief in them. But that's the biggest part, I think, of BBM exposure management is like there are some guys like Marshawn Lloyd. You guys know if you've watched these streams. I was in on Marshawn Lloyd from day one. I did RB previews in January. Since then, it's only strengthened, and he does stuff at camp. Like Jacobs is out. Lloyd looks great in camp that one day. A lot of stuff that I think has increased my desire off the signal. For Denver, there just hasn't been great signal. Like there's a few Troy Franklin touchdown catches from Knicks. There's some talk about Esme being the first, second down running back. Those are things that I still believe in, that I believed in from day one. But I do want to know practically in camp for Denver. If there's anything good coming out of Denver, the second we're, next week when training camp starts up, I will definitely be back on Denver's train. But I think without there being a whole lot to really look at Denver and go, these are rave reviews coming from the beat guys. There's a lot of talk about Franklin being first team and Knicks is going to be the starting QB throwing bombs to him. there hasn't been enough of that signal yet. So I wouldn't view them the same as I do Marshawn Lloyd, even though they are my earliest bets and they're bets that I would defend for sure. Troy Franklin goes here, so that's gone. Franklin goes to 163. I'm trying to get a little different here. I think Kirk and Deshaun as my QB room is definitely different. Baker goes unstacked to this fucker in the one hole. Oh my God. Why would you fucking do that? He's got Lamar. He's got Stroud. He hacks on Baker. He still only has 5 receivers. Just stupid fucking play. That's why I took my 2 QBs where I did, for the record. I could not disagree more. Bucky is incredibly talented. Tank Bigsby is not the most talented. Kate Otten goes too. Oh. The yin and yangs of idiot rooms. So you see terrible picks going around and then terrible picks come back to hurt me here. A couple times, this fucking guy in the one hole took Stroud unstacked, takes Baker unstacked. Oh, stupid picks. If estimate is this year's Kyron, I'll be rich. Yeah, I mean, it's same for me, especially in the big board. But in BBM right now, too, I still have enough estimate to go around. Similar situation happened this weekend. Unstacked reach sniping becoming more common. Oof. I think people really... This is the year, guys. I will say it, and I do say it a lot here on stream. Daniel Jones at 173 is also batshit. I get getting panicked because Baker went, but Daniel Jones, does he even have any correlation with it? This guy doing unstacked Daniel Jones? Ugh. I think it's going to be a weird July and August drafting season like this year. And I would say for you guys out there that know structure, that do stuff like I recommend here, reading ETR's Best Ball Manifesto from Mike Leone. Just do that as part of your process. Watch some of the Spike Week videos with Pat Corrine and Beimfor that are not 3 hours long. ADP chasing, same thing. Can people limit themselves to 1 hour of content? I think so I can advocate for it a little more throatedly. I think it'd be nice. Jalen McMillan at 178. I can't even fucking get. Ooh, this team. A team of assholes. A room of assholes is what we have today. All right, we still need to get our second tight end. Motherfucker. Can do Oppo, Washington. Just going to take Ben Sinnott here. Slight discount at ADP. I still like Sinnott, even though I'm taking a little bit less of him these days. He's in about a third of my portfolio so far. We'll take Sinnott for 1 tight end. More opposite correlation for Atlanta. It's going to be the logic there. Second pick. This 2562 build. Braylon Allen doesn't do a lot for me. Eli Mitchell doesn't do a lot for me. I do like McCaffrey. I have enough reservations at QB, though. I'm going to go for a little mini. Sorry to the Bryce Young drafter out there. I'm sure it's going to be bummed, but or the people stacking up Carolina. We're going to go Bryce Young for QB3. So we have Chris Godwin here. We got sniped on Baker Mayfield for no fucking reason. Lost K. Dotton for, I guess, slightly more reason. But we will instead add a Carolina-Tampa Bay connection for Week 17 with Bryce Young and Chris Godwin. Team so far is a 3-5-6-2. We have Kirk, we have Deshaun, we have Bryce Young as our QBs. So could make the case that's a 2 QB build, but I feel a little more comfortable going with a third QB here, especially with all my QBs coming after pick 150. We have Josh Jacobs, Ramondre, Najee Harris, Devin Singletary, Ty Chandler as the RBs. Wide receiver, we've got Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Chris Godwin, and Jahan Dotson. So some correlation Houston, Baltimore, some correlation with Atlanta, Washington. Didn't get any Rams stuff yet. I guess we're not going to get any Rams stuff at this point. And David Njoku and Ben Sinnott. We've got many stacks. We've got little correlation. It's not as matchy as I like my teams to be, but it works. Oh, God. Mingo backstack. How's the ship getting docked here? That's a good question. Ship's getting docked. I have flexibility. We think we need to add one more receiver. I have a rough idea of what I'd like my receiver to be. I'm open to a third tight end. Think I have an idea on who that could be. I think I'm done at RB with 5. Once Bucky didn't come back for RB, not a whole lot I want to love there. Besides maybe an estimate late. It's true, Adam. I would love to see you docking with new Adam, old Adam. Just you two guys locking foreskins together, seeing how it goes. Unless you're talking about literal boat docking, in which case I have nothing to offer that conversation. I only have things to offer the foreskin-based version of the conversation. All right. Stop showing my ranks on screen. Let's let these buffoons make their picks. Does this guy need a fourth QB in the one hole? Let's find out. Rumor in Carolina's Ian Thomas is starting tight end. Probably worth going him over Sanders at this point. I think it's timeshare there. I don't know reports that you, because Jeff does pay close attention to the stuff, so Jeff might have seen something different. The last that I saw was it was a timeshare with Thomas, Tremble, and Sanders. I think Jatavian Sanders, I've stopped taking him for the last, I don't even know, since BBM Open, I think I stopped taking Jatavian Sanders. Not enough, I think we've seen for him to have confidence and as an 18th round pick. The 3 tight end build, I think he's still probably the tight end you would take. Like Ian Thomas, we know what Ian Thomas is. Tommy Tremble, to a certain extent, we know what they are. Sanders is at least a mystery box that, you know, could mean something a little bit more later on. Trying to look at my exposures real fast, see my Jatavian Sanders. Exposure, just BBM. I'm at 8% Jatavian still. All of that was early. But I think Jatavian at this point feels more like a 6% play than an 8% play, which is the kind of dumb nickel and diming you have to do. We tune into Spags for his foreskin opinions. That's true. As somebody that staunchly says no foreskin and once made fun of my friend's foreskin. I didn't make fun of his penis, like, to its face. But I did one of my best friends who used to make fun of for having a hoodie penis, having an M&M and 8 Mile penis. So, yeah, that's my foreskin expertise for all the people watching live here. Had a Ridley, D-Hop, and Pollard stack. Someone reached 12 picks for Will Levis. Hey, people like Will Levis out there. I like Will Levis too, but unstacked Will Levis. Anything unstacked is just never the move. Like, that is really, take some things away from the stream today. It's number one, please don't take 3 unstacked QBs. Would be number one. Number two would be just correlating stacking, the basic things that, you know, if you watch best ball streams, if you engage in best ball content, if you read best ball articles, the stuff that's literally day one stuff. People saw Fareed Shahid's team last year and were like, yeah, I guess you can just do whatever. Like, stacking doesn't matter. Correlation doesn't matter. And it's like, no, that really wasn't the takeaway. And I would honestly say, and this is no disrespect to Fareed at all, who's, again, watches Splash Play occasionally, seems like a lovely human being. Like, that team last year, I think, was one where that's almost like the harbinger of whatever stacked up bullshit team's going to win this year. Because there was like enough correlation there and enough attempts at correlation that he ended up getting better. This year, it wouldn't shock me if it's like a 3 QB, 3 game stack team hitting, because like they could take the best parts of what Fareed did and make it sharper in terms of, like, you know, him not getting sniped. So we'll see. Tez Walker on the way back doesn't feel too bad with our Houston-Baltimore bet. Though we could take more concentrated bets at this point. This is a tough call. I'm going to take a shot at Tillman. The fact that Tillman's running outside, he's kind of the low-owned type of guy. I want to get more in the mix for round 17, round 18, especially one where I don't need to take a Tank Bigsby, don't need to take a Audric Estime to fill out my RB room. So I'm going to take Tillman here in the 17th. I am the KY asking about Indy tight ends. If you're going to take one, it's Woods in the 18th round, but still got to be prepared for the fact that it is currently a 5-person tight end room, and it's only going to get slightly better if they cut Mo Cox, and even then it's still going to be a 4-person tight end room. So Tez Walker still here. Tez is a decent pick at this spot, but I was thinking another player for Kirk. Go Rondale. Tez. All right, if I got Rondale in, I'll take Rondale. Rondale it is. 3582 Bill is going to be the final team here. Of course, we'll be hopping on Pete's stream in 1 hour. So if you want to see more drafts, me come over there. 3582 Bill with Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Watson, Bryce Young. At RB, we have Josh Jacobs, Ramondre, Najee Harris, Devin Singletary, Ty Chandler. So really good RB picks in here. Not the greatest correlation besides some Chandler Jacobs stuff. I think everything else here is going to be uncorrelated. We got Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, some week 17 correlation involved there. Chris Godwin, we could not get Baker with him, unfortunately, but I do want to up Chris Godwin a little bit more when he's at ADP. Jahan Dotson, Cedric Tillman to get more unique on that Deshaun stack, Rondale Moore. Tillman's biggest win, by the way, in this particular team would be if Amari Cooper gets hurt or something. Amari Cooper never agrees to a contract as he's holding out. That would probably be the biggest win for Tillman in this build. Tight end, though, David Njoku, Ben Sinnott. Maybe could use a third tight end, but I thought adding onto the stacks here with lower-owned guys was more unique. Rondale Moore likely the starting slot for Atlanta. There's some risk that he could get displaced by Casey Washington or one of those guys. Cedric Tillman, like the starting outside receiver, though he's going to come off the field in a lot of the one slot receiver, one outside receiver kind of sets. And that's my logic here. So that's going to be the team. Tillman's this year's Noah Brown. Wow, I like that one. Okay. Lots of rumors before the team's even putting pads on. That's true, though. I would say this time of year, especially this time of year, guys, if you are drafting in July before training camp, this is just people like putting their hopes and dreams out there for their drafts. And that's really one thing I would say to be mindful of, because it's a lot of fucking dumb shit drafts. You saw it here. And I will tell you too, like from drafting teams in the Schnauzer last week, this is a time period people just don't know what they're doing. And people coming in especially don't have a lot of idea what they're doing. So this is the time for your edge, guys. Increase that edge by playing an underdog. Use promo code SPLASH on there. Get up to $250 in bonus cash using promo code SPLASH. Of course, you support the show. Goes a long way here, and I do appreciate it. I forgot to ask for subscribe today. Again, I got to get in a rhythm again. So subscribe down below. Hit the like button. All your engagements matter a bunch to me, especially on Mondays, where even on days we're going to be on Peach Stream is going to kick my ass in terms of views. So your support goes a long way here. Helps you get seen more people just like you when you hit that like button, when you leave a comment, when you subscribe. So please do all those down below if you can. Of course, go check out Drafters too. Didn't get to do a Drafters draft this weekend or this past weekend. So we're doing a double header on Saturday on Drafters. So go check that out. Promo code SPLASH on Drafters. It's $100 in bonus cash on there, and tremendous rake back as well for their $15 Drafters Million tournament with $500K to first place. So check that out. You get a free entry at 10 entries. You get a free entry at 25. You're getting 7 free entries if you put in 100. You also get $100 back in cash if you max out the Drafters Million. So go do it. Promo code SPLASH on Drafters right now if you can. And probably, I put up 2 videos for probably over the vacation. Both of them were great, and one of them went 4-1. So that's how easy it is to get in good bets using Probably's data. If you're trying to build your best ball bankroll, honestly, I'd recommend using our market data from Probably to make your life better. So go check it out. And hopefully some good news coming for Probly in the next few weeks that I'm anxious to even be saying out loud. But let's keep our fingers crossed for the next few weeks, and hopefully some good news before football season coming for Probably. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. I'll be back in an hour with Pete. So, hey, enjoy your days, guys. Come check me out there. I'll see you soon. And, of course, thanks for hanging. Good luck. Bye-bye.